This is the Reesor Pioneer Cemetery on Reesor Road, just north of Highway 7. It's the oldest cemetery owned by the city of Markham, and the original burial here is 1806. It was Christian Reesor and his wife Fanny who came from Pennsylvania in 1804 and settled on this land with his 6 children. Unfortunately, Christian was killed with a falling tree in 1806, but members of the family stayed on this farm until 1930, and the cemetery here is the burial ground of those very earliest pioneer people into Markham on this side of the city. So let's go and have a look at this small cemetery. We've got a long walkway back to the burial area, but come with me and let's go through these gates. I'm sitting on the cairn in front of the cemetery itself. The cairn that was dedicated in 2004, and I'd like to read to you the plaque that is here. This cairn is respectfully dedicated to the honor of Christian Reesor and Fanny Reef and their extended family who made the arduous 6-week journey from Pennsylvania. They came in 5 Conestoga wagons and settled in Markham Township in the autumn of 1804. Celebrating the ties that bind us to our past and to our future generations, the Reesor family in Canada Bicentennial Reunion, July 2, 3, and 4, 2004. And one of the interesting images that they have on this plaque is the Conestoga wagon and the 4-horse teams that drew it. And these are the wagons that this Reesor family used in coming from Pennsylvania to Markham. And around the bottom of the plaque are the names of each of the family members who came as part of that extended family. One of the reasons that the Pennsylvania Germans were so interested in Markham Township was the fact that there were a lot of black walnut trees, and they knew that where the black walnuts grew, that was really good topsoil and good farmland. There is a huge black walnut tree that is growing by the old farmhouse that is said to be from a nut that they brought from Pennsylvania. And this tree here is a tree that we had propagated from one of the nuts from that big tree in front of the house. So we've had it growing here, and it is growing beside the cemetery proper here in this area. One of the other interesting things about this area, it is located right on the banks of the Little Rouge River. And that was, the family wanted their father and grandfather buried close to the river. And so that's why it's located here. But the land is now part of the Rouge National Urban Park, which will be saved in perpetuity. So it's a wonderful recognition of those early pioneers here in Markham Township. One of the rather interesting features of this cemetery is that when the farm was sold out of the Reesor name in 1931, Fred Reesor decided to build a concrete fence around it to protect the cemetery site from any livestock. And so we have here, since 1931, this concrete fence around the actual burial site. Now this is a tombstone of the pioneer Christian Reesor. And let me read it for you. Sacred to the memory of Christian Reesor, born in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, August the 26th, 1747, and died March the 26th, 1806. Also of Fanny, wife of the above, who died October the 10th, 1818, at the age of 67 years. There are other members of the family, of Christian's family, buried at this site and are recognized in this. On this stone. Darius, John, and there's an Elizabeth there, all members of the family recognized in this one monument. Now this is a tombstone of Christian's son, youngest son, who is also named Christian Reesor. But there is an interesting story about him. He died at the age of 82. But Christian was married to a girl by the name of Elizabeth Cornell. She died in childbirth at about the age of 32 after they had had 5 children. Christian Reesor was a widower for 34 years. And then he married a niece of his first wife. Her name was Melissa Ann, also named Cornell. And they went on to have 4 more children. So the last child of Christian Reesor was born about 6 months after he died in 1877 at the age of 82. Now Christian and Fanny came with their 6 children, and the 6 children spread out across this part of the township. And over the years, they have maintained their genealogy. And this is the Reesor family in Canada, a trail through the centuries that documents all the members of the families over the years. And it's probably close between 25 and 30,000 cousins that they have documented here in this book that is the story of the Reesor family in Canada. Every 10 years, the members of the Reesor family in Canada gather for a reunion, and they come here and pay tribute to their ancestors, and it's always held on the 0. So the next reunion will be held in 2020, the long weekend in July. And also the Reesors that are left in Pennsylvania, they hold a reunion on the 5 a year. So their next one will be 2025. But the Reesors get together as well to remember their ancestors, both in Pennsylvania and here in Canada.